Alright guys, you've been asking for a update on the gentleman that was having the trouble that was asking for help. He wrote in, and this is what I have for you guys. He said the other night we heard a beating on our house again. The doorknobs were turned again like it was trying to come in. They could hear the heavy, loud breathing. He said like groaning, growling. It got pretty loud, he said, to the point where they were pretty afraid. So the next night, he was going to step in the attic of their house and try to look out of the vents to see what was, messing around their house. So the next night, he says he went up and he stayed up in the attic and was waiting for it to come around. He was going to try to get a photograph. He said while he was up in the attic that night, he heard strange noises at his neighbor's house, the elder man that had been mean to him lately. He said he heard beating and screaming. So they called the police to go over and to check on the elderly man. He said they saw the police arrived at the house, so he came down, went inside, and was watching out their bedroom window. The police were over at the house, he said. They were knocking. They talked to the elderly man, and as the police were leaving, he motioned them to come here out of his porch. So the police also stopped at his house. He asked the police how he was. He said the elderly man was fine, that he had been asleep and appeared to be perfectly well. So what that was about, nobody knows. Screaming and beating and everything, and he's asleep. Well, they went in and they decided to go back to go to bed. And he said as they was laying in the bed, his wife actually woke up first. She said she could hear what sounded like something walking across the front room. She said the old floors are wooden and they creak when you walk on them. And she could hear like a creaking noise, but slower than normal when somebody walks. Almost as if something was sneaking in the front room. She says that the worst part was what she thought was happening came true. She saw the shadow go across the wall, and as the shadow met her bedroom door, she saw the figure look from the top corner of the door around. So it had to be pretty tall. And she said it looked into the bedroom at her. She said the only thing she could tell is its head was huge. She could see hair swaying from it as it was moving its head. She said it reminded her of a dog with the long hair, when they move their head it sways. And she said it was staring at him. She was panicked, she said, for a moment. She couldn't scream, couldn't move, do anything. She said it's just standing there looking at him as they sleep. She said it reaches its hand inside and starts rubbing its hand on the dresser. And she says she can hear the claws on the dresser. She said, I have no idea why it was even doing that. Finally, she gets up the nerve to be able to scream. She says whenever she screams, her husband wakes up, sees the figure at the door. He then grabs his .38 special. He said he fired twice inside the house. He said, I know I hit the creature because I heard the thuds and I'm a very good shot with my .38 special. He said the beast actually made a dog yelping noise, but louder and not as shrill as a dog, but more of a deeper sound as it ran away. Followed it to the front room, and as he followed it to the front room, he said it had exited out the same way it came in through the front door. The front door was standing wide open. He then called the police. He said the police arrived, and as the police were looking around the house, they couldn't find anybody or anything. And the front door, the police said, had been wedged, he says, from the door facing. But he said there was 3 claw marks right at the door. He said where you can just perfectly tell that's what it was. He said the police wouldn't have it. They said it was a prying tool is what was used to open the door. Fish and Game, what was weird, later arrived 30 minutes later after the police had left to look at just the door and photograph the door. And he asked, why are you all photographing the door? And they said that the police officer didn't have a camera with him at the time and he needed it for evidence to complete his report. He was in the area, so he was going to swing by and photograph it for him. Okay. So, the next morning, they wake up and they look outside, he says, and they notice there's a lot of vehicles over at his neighbor's house. He said, full of vehicles, police cars, everything. So he said he walks out into his yard and sees one of the police officers and walks up to him and asks him, is everything okay? The police officer advised him that the elderly man had passed away in his sleep last night. They believe it was from a heart attack. That was their guess. He said the body was brought out in a black body bag that was zipped completely, placed inside of an ambulance, and then soon left. He said, after all this has happened, I just want the viewers to know that we are very, very humbled with all the great advice you guys gave, with how many caring people there are here. And he said, we took everything you all said to heart. But having our kids and us at the house, it has got to a point, he said, to where we cannot stay here. It is not safe. The police don't believe us. The game wardens don't believe us. And we believe it's a matter of time before we're just the next victims of a accident. So he said, we have now moved and we're staying in a motel for the time being. She has contacted her parents, which live in Maine, which I don't know if it's going to be any better. I'm just joking. I know Maine's a hot spot. But they'll be moving up there with her on a farm where they're hoping to get a trailer house set and live happily ever after. He said he wanted to thank everybody for what they're doing, for what you all done, all the comments and everything. And he'll be watching this video when it comes out, he said, and also reading those. But I appreciate y'all watching. I know y'all was ready to hear the ending to this. I'm glad they got out of there. I think that's the best thing they could have done, because I don't think this thing was going to stop. I think it had went on too long, too far, and it was getting too comfortable if it was coming into the house. It's a good thing to get out of there if it's doing that, especially with kids. So I hope y'all enjoy this update. That's what he sent me, and I want to get it out to you. I know y'all have been waiting, so hope you enjoy. Keep your head on a swivel. Until next time, guys.